Back in the saddle again.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the picture Barbed Wire.
It's a great picture. Yeah.
A lot of fun in it.
Yeah, and you know there's collectors of barbed wire. They got just thousands of people out there. There's probably more collectors of barbed wire than there is of coat hangers or anything else like that.
Sure, I've got a big plaque of barbed wire.
Well, in fact, among the many great artifacts in the Gene Autry Western Heritage Museum that you folks are putting together out there, there's a big display, a biggest bunch of barbed wire, and it's all dated as to what year they come in, and they come in, and it looked like this, and then they changed it to look like this. And it's really something to see. People will want to come see that. Hugh O'Brien did a good job there too, and in Wyatt Earp he did a good job. Speaking of Wyatt Earp, I understand that among the many historical artifacts that you're going to have in the Gene Autry Western Heritage Museum is going to be the Wyatt Earp, the original Wyatt Earp's gun that he used in the Battle of the OK Corral.
That's absolutely correct, Pat. That's it.
That's really was something to find that gun, huh?
Oh, yeah, and there'll be a lot more of them like that, too.
You know, Gene, other day I was telling you, we've been getting a lot of mail from the folks that watching these great Western pictures of yours. It's being shown for the first time on television, and a lot of questions and all. One of them we get a lot of is asking about your saddle. The one you used the same saddle in most all your pictures, didn't you?
Yes, the saddle that I have used in all of the movies was made back in 1934 by a fellow named Jim Davis. He was a saddle maker. And then later, when I built a rodeo, why, a fellow by the name of Gilmore, he made about 70 saddles for me that about 12 of them had silver pesos, Mexican pesos, around the skirt and all over the saddle. And we used those for the grand entry, you know. Everybody had to carry a flag. And then the 12 special saddles that I had made was for the quadrille on horseback. And that was the beginning of the real show stuff.
Oh, yeah, I remember those spectacular saddles and the shows at the rodeo and all. Saddle making is kind of a lost art. It was such a tough thing to do.
Yes, it is a lost art, and there's not too many good saddle makers left. When it comes to the real high-class saddles with all the gold and silver on them, I think the best in that was a fellow named Ed Bohlin.
Bohlin saddles, yeah, famous. Yeah.
Yes, he made those famous saddles, and he was also a silversmith.
Yeah.
And he was a Swede. And he made, I would say, 75 to 85% of all the saddles that you see in the Rose Bowl parade and all of the big parades where you see those gorgeous saddles. Well, Ed Bohlin made them. I've got 4 of those saddles, and one of them is probably the greatest saddle that was ever built. It took Ed Bohlin 14 years to do it. And he kind of worked on it in his spare time. But this saddle has about 4 different colors of gold in it, and on each of the skirts and the horn and all, it represents all the animals in the American Western states, and also all of the birds of the Western states. It's really quite a saddle.
It's on display. It has been, I think, for about 8 months at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
That's right.
And it's going to be displayed and all at the Gene Autry Western Heritage Museum.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to the opening of the great museum. We're going to have a lot of artifacts that you're going to love, too.
Oh, yeah. You know, we've been getting a lot of mail, and we try and answer questions, and we got a stack of them about, they see the credits at the end, the producer, Jackie Autry, and they say, who is Jackie Autry?
Who is Jackie Autry?
Well, it's...
Jackie Autry was a former vice president of one of the big banks in California. But now, here is Jackie Autry, my wife.
Mrs.
Good morning. It's
Gene
nice
Autry.
to be on your show this morning, Pat and Gene.
Oh, well, it's awful nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you're getting paid on this now, aren't
Yeah, he's paying me minimum wage to appear on here as usual.
you? Good. She's still a banker.
Still a banker at heart.
You were a loan arranger, arranged Gene's loans at the bank.
Yeah, I've known Gene since 1964. He banked with me down in Palm Springs, and
I remember when you were married, that was, what, 6 years ago?
about 6 years ago, July of '81.
And the headlines in the paper says, Gene Autry marries loan arranger.
That's right. That's right.
It was cute. Well, you sure have been good for Gene and for all of us that work with him and all, getting us on time here and there and just everything else.
Well, it's been fun putting the show together and getting everybody out here to do the show, and I've enjoyed it, and I think everybody else has.
Everybody has, and you've done a great job for us, too. You know, Pat, I wanted to build a museum for many years and kind of leave something for the new generation or the future generations to see when I'm gone. And we have a lot of people ask just what this is going to be. And I turned it all over to Jackie. I said, Jackie, you can have the money now to build the museum building, and after it's built, why, it's up to you to put it all together. And she has carried the ball on this thing all the way through, so you're going to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I know we've gotten a lot of questions from the fans out there wondering about the museum, and Gene asked me if I'd come over this morning and perhaps explain what we're doing, but we're building a museum in Griffith Park in Los Angeles. It's a 140,000 square foot building, so the fans out there who can just envision what the size of their home is,
The barn.
and relate that to the size of this building, it is awesome. The city of Los Angeles was so delighted about the museum that they offered us 13 acres of land in Griffith Park, which we are currently leasing. And this is a serious Western history museum. It will depict the cowboy from the 16th century conquistador, which is really where the cowboy began, to the modern day cowboy. In addition to that, about an eighth of the gallery space within the museum will have what we call the spirit of imagination. And that's where the world learned about our West, through the B-Western movie. Starting with the silent film era, Bill Hart, Buck Jones, Tom Mix, Ken Maynard, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a hands-on museum. There'll be a theater there at the museum. There'll be a 230-seat theater that will show Western documentaries, Western films. There'll be an education center, so that kids will be able to come from the school districts, local school districts, come to the education center, be taken through the museum by people from our education department and by docents, and learned about our history and how our forefathers came across the mountains to Arizona and New Mexico and Colorado and Wyoming and California, and how our West really began. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And you're putting it all together and calling it the Western Heritage, Gene Autry Western Heritage
It's a, yes,
museum.
it's a Western Heritage Museum. It's being named after Gene Autry because Gene's foundation is funding the construction of this magnificent complex. And we felt that we should put his name in association with this Western Heritage Museum. We hired some time ago as part of our construction team Disney Imagineering, and they of course are doing all the exhibit designs within the museum, so it will be fun, it will be creative, but at the same time very serious museum.
And very educational.
Very
too.
educational, that is correct.
Save a little space for the sidekicks there, will you?
You bet.
I'm enjoying hearing Jackie Autry, your wife, tell about the great Western Heritage Museum. I see it being built there. You can see it right from the freeway, and I go by every day, and it's going to be a big sucker, I'll tell you that.
It sure is. You know, I think when we first conceptualized this, Pat, we envisioned a much smaller building, but as a collection, the scope of the collection presented itself, we realized that we would never be able to fit it into a building of 70,000 square feet. You know, the interesting thing, people have asked for years about a Gene Autry museum, and I think they were thinking more of a personal museum as opposed to a Western history museum with serious artifacts. And specifically, Monty and Joanne Hale, who are very good friends of ours, were continuously talking to us about a museum, and I finally got to the point where I said, put up or shut up. You know, I can't do it by myself. You guys have got to help me. And so they moved down from the Santa Barbara area of California and moved into the Studio City area, which is close to the museum. And Joanne Hale has been really a mover and doer and shaker as far as this museum is concerned. She is probably one of the brightest ladies I have ever met, astute businesswoman. And I'll tell you something, without her, I really would tell you that this museum would never have been able to be realized in the scope and the magnitude that it has been. But she is the executive director, and she's done an outstanding job, and I'm very proud to be associated with both she and Monty.
Yeah, and that having the Disney minds in there with all of the great things they've done, this has got to be a classical real classy place. It's going to be great.
They have so much creative talent, Pat, at the Disney organization, and we were a little apprehensive initially about working with Disney because we didn't want people to think of this as a Disneyland. We wanted them to think about it as a serious, accredited museum. And in fact, we went to Epcot Center and saw that Disney has a very unique ability to light a serious artifact in a most unusual way and deal with serious artifacts in a professional manner, and so we hired them, and their creative genius is so unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's been a delight. It really has.
Yeah, it's going to be great.